Oh, take a look at that. Oh my God! Woo! Listen to that horn! Oh my God! Oh, she's beautiful! She is beautiful, yeah!
Oh, hello everyone. Welcome to Jalapeno Milk. I am Mecca McCheese, and we're joined by Sergeant Davidson today. Welcome to Sergeant's Time Training. All are welcome. We're only featuring veterans on this specific paddle. We got things we want to talk about, stories to swap, and just kind of enjoy the fellowship that being in the armed forces gave us. So thank you everyone for being here. We got a non-corona, Zombie Namicon, Lorenzo Sleestack. Not too much to talk about today other than leadership. There seems to be oh, hey Skinny, how you doing? Thanks for being here. Gotham Knight, thanks for being here. Yeah, we got there's a lot of certain happenings, certain going on today. And the thing that occurred to me more than anything else is that I wanted to talk about leadership, what it means to me, and how you display ownership of stuff. And, you know, myself and Sergeant Davidson, I was a sergeant, E5, if you will, buck sergeant, colloquially known. And, yeah, we're just going to swap some stories about certain things, enjoy each other's company as veterans, and just shoot the shit a little bit. How you doing today, Sergeant Davidson?
Good. You know, taking a break from doing the home remodel to come here and join you in the fellowship of veteranism,
Yeah,
if you
and,
will.
it's a positive thing. You know, we have some harsh things to say, but ultimately there's a lot of good that we're going to talk about today too. So you said taking a break, but you know what I've never taken a break from?
What's that?
Is being a leader. Being a leader is something I'll never let go of, and it's become a huge part of my identity since I got out. That's right, choo choo. You know, it's so important to me, even this day when it's been so long since I have been a veteran.
That. Oh my God!
Yeah, I'm a sergeant, mecha sergeant at this point. Okay, thanks. So I've never taken a break since I've got out. Let's talk about that for a second. How has being a leader affected you in your civilian life, Sergeant Davidson?
Well, you know, you it's strange. You know, you walk in a room and you kind of take charge and command that room. Really, I mean,
That command
it's
presence never really leaves, does it?
oh no, it sure doesn't. And you know, I don't suffer fools well, which has actually hindered me in my civilian career.
And by fools, you mean those with a private mentality, almost.
Exactly right. Anybody who
Yeah,
just wants to slack dog it, I ain't got time for that.
yeah, definitely. Hey, Andrew J, thanks for being here. We're talking about being leaders, what that means to us. Yeah, for me, the best thing I ever did in my entire life, I'd say, was get my promotion. It's one of those things I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would decide that I was tired of being a junior enlisted soldier, and I knew I was ready for being a sergeant. And a lot of people would discourage you from saying stuff like that, but I truly believed it. I wanted it more than anything. And my first promotion board, I failed miserably. I was nervous. My legs couldn't stop shaking, and I walked out of there just like bewildered by the whole experience. And it was so difficult. And I went back, I humbled myself a bit. And my next promotion board, I got a unanimous thumbs up from everybody. And Lorenzo Sleestack can't find the train emoji. Then get out.
Yeah.
6 scale. Oh, did you want the link 6? He never tells me what rank he was, but I'm pretty sure he was in the military to some capacity. He may not be at liberty to say.
Yeah. Well, I know, like, for me, especially in the 31 Echo world, being a prison guard, accountability is so crucial to your leadership qualities. Being
That's what we were
accountable
talking about behind stage. It was accountability and ownership.
Oh yeah, and that's something I carry with me too to this day. If I screw up, I'm more than willing to tell you, hey, I screwed up. You know, you need to be accountable to yourself. You need to be accountable to your soldiers and everybody else around you, because if you're not, then horrible things can happen.
Well, and horrible things do happen, honestly.
Oh yeah.
And one of the things I learned in my military career was it wasn't so much when you fail that determines your leadership ability. It's how you recover from it, how you learn from it, and how you humble yourself.
Oh,
There's
exactly
nothing wrong
right.
with
I mean, shit, I
there's
got
nothing
two
wrong.
Article 15s under my belt.
Well, most good NCOs do have that kind of stuff going on. What's up, Six? Oh, he can't make it today. That's all right. What's up, Jake? Oh, Lorenzo finally found the train. Yeah, it's an important part of. I think that's one of the most important elements of being a leader in the military and outside of it is you have to have accountability. You have to have, more importantly than that, you have to have ownership. You got to own your mistakes, and instead of approaching a situation where you messed up, you don't offer an excuse. You prepare an explanation and an understanding.
Exactly right. I mean, and honest mistakes happen all the time. And yeah, as a leader, and I know other leaders are willing to write off honest, honest to God mistakes. Uh, but if it's a mistake due to a lack of something to do with Army values or lack thereof, then you're gonna have to stand on the carpet and answer for that.
Yeah. Let me pull up my screen here real quick. Leadership in the military is not this complicated thing, and it's even less complicated out in the civilian world. And what I'm seeing today that I'm reminded of most poignantly, it's ownership. When my soldiers would mess up, I would when they got disciplined, I got disciplined alongside them to an extent. I was the one that would go and take him into the sergeant major's room. Is this your soldier? Yes. He failed height and weight. Yes, Sergeant Major. And then he'd ask a few questions for the soldier, and it was mostly me answering for that. Now I could do everything in my power to take that kid to PT after duty for the day, to give him diet plans, to show up before PT and work out with them. But ultimately, even though it wasn't my fault, I'd still have to own that. That was my
Oh
true
yeah.
guidance, and I think a lot of civilians don't understand that whatsoever.
No, if somebody, just to piggyback on what you're saying, if somebody screwed up like that, didn't pass weight or tape, or they screwed up real bad and they got a Article 15, either company grade or field grade, as the NCO, it's your responsibility to be there with them throughout the whole process because you're the one there supervising their extra duty. You're taking away it's taking away your time from your family and the things that you want to do to make sure that this punishment is being carried out.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Anon Corona in the chat has a question for us, and we will take questions from the chat. Military lessons that we learned are applicable to anybody. You don't have to have been a soldier or anything like that to ask a question, and we're glad to have everyone here. He says, "What if you prepare an explanation, but others dismiss it as an excuse? How do you approach that one, Sergeant Davidson?"
Well, for me, I just answer it with the facts. Like, Sergeant Major, this is what happened from point A to point B, and I'm not offering you an excuse for the soldier or for myself. This is the facts of what happened, and I'm fully prepared to take accountability and responsibility.
And that gives leaders so much more to work with than, well, if the soldier would have got off his butt and stopped playing video games, that might be an element of the explanation or excuse.
Yeah.
But you want, as a leader, you don't have the luxury of not being involved in the consequences to whatever extent it is. And you see that a lot in the civilian world where it's like, oh, that dude may have been working something behind the scenes, doing some gay ops or whatever they want to call it, but ultimately they waved my flag, and I'm going to go own up to it, even though I may have not have done anything to deserve it.
Exactly right. I mean,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of that going around. Like when I left war camping, like Tim was saying the other day, I went around and I made my apologies to everybody because I owed that to them. That, you know, it was my responsibility to bear the burden of the stupid douchey things that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, in the name of somebody else. Now that somebody else should have taken responsibility for his part in it, but they didn't, and that's fine. Whatever. My conscience is clean.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a communal pride, a communal sense of purpose, they celebrate success together. At least, you know, in the civilian world. And if you're a civilian and you're listening to this, me bagging on you because you didn't serve, that's not my intention whatsoever. But to really own leadership, you not only own your successes, you own your failures too.
Exactly right.
A failure state is not the end of the world. Lying about how you got there, not only to yourself but others, that's a larger concern for me than anything. You know, missing a tape, having an overweight soldier, missing formation. Lying about that stuff is more important. Oh, Doug to Naples here. Doug, thanks for having us on yesterday. Appreciate you. We're doing a little veteran-focused stream here, talking about leadership, ownership, and accountability. Most importantly, there's a lot going on today that members of our audience might be seeing on Twitter, the timeline, and a certain war-minded organization is having cracks in leadership that I think come down to ownership. So that's the thing. Yeah, happy 60. Politicians tend to pass the buck, regardless of political party. Yeah, you know, I think I said that when I went on Ethan's show. You know, for me, with all this mockery and cackling over the misery of someone else, I said the buck stops with me. I'm not going to participate in it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and just to piggyback again onto what you were saying about you know, successes and failures.
Yeah,
That's what makes an absolutely great organization. That's what's so unique about the military is that we all share in our successes and we all share in our failures. And more importantly, we learn from those failures. You know, we adapt and we overcome those failures, and we drive on. You know, you screwed up, so what? What are you going to do? What you screwed up today? What's tomorrow going to bring?
yeah. Anytime I've had an incident where, you know, it was me that failed, the first thing that would happen after that ass chewing was one of my battle buddies or one of my fellow NCOs would come over to me and be like, "Hey, you need some help with this? I got time here, and I got a guy that knows this. We're going to fix you up." Whenever somebody had to take that knee of failure, there was always somebody jumped up right next to me in formation to help pick me back up.
Exactly fucking right, dude. That's the thing that's sorely lacking in the civilian world. Once again, I'm not trying to bag on civilians. It's just my experience in the military is one that, you know, we all uplift each other, even in our failures, especially when we fail and we fall.
You know, Zombie here says, "One team, one fight." That's exactly right, man. You don't just get to take the spoils of a victory. You earn the consequences of the failure. Needle Movers question here says, so question, who would get their asses torn out most if Comicsgate were going by military rules? Well, yeah, let's not beating around the bush. We're talking today about, we're seeing the fractures in war campaign, and hopefully some of those guys come over here and hear us talking about leadership and understand what went wrong in their war-minded organization. And it truly shows you the extent of military, civilian capability in military settings or roles. It's really not there when you spend your whole life on a keyboard or drawing for a living. This is a skill set you're not going to come by that me and Sergeant Davidson are offering to share with you.
Yeah, exactly right. I
mean, and we love you civilians. You know, it's not that. It's not. This is not a beat up the civilians kind of stream. Obviously.
Oh, not at all.
No.
I remember being in the military, and you know, you got that 5 o'clock in the morning PT formation, and you'd watch everybody drive by on the freeway going about their daily lives. I'm like, fuck, dude, that could be me.
Yeah. Bring back mandatory service. Well, that's another stream. That's another stream because some of the people that signed up and went through the process of joining the Army, which is, you know, a really difficult thing, honestly. They ended up not wanting to be there. So if you force somebody against their will, that's not a soldier that you're going to want to deal with for very long.
Yeah, that's definitely something you don't. It's definitely somebody you don't want with you in a fight.
Yeah, definitely. I don't even want them on cleanup duty around the barracks with me. I'll go do it
Yeah, no.
myself. But yeah, I think what we're seeing today with war campaign EVS, he celebrated a lot of success, but he almost never took any responsibility for the failure. If it was me.
Yeah, no, they would scapegoat people. If they got caught doing something,
Well, that's almost like what they did to you.
Oh, that's exactly what happened with me.
When this follow Rome thing happened, the first thing to come up was it's Praetorian. It's you. You're the cause of all this. And they had an enemy. They had somebody to throw under the bus, and none of them stepped back and said, well, maybe I need to do this, or maybe I need to do that. Well, except maybe Roe did, and I don't want to give him a whole lot of credit because he's also a leader in that thing. But even if he did say that the day or the following day, it was pretty soon after that they were just back to their old shenanigans again.
Oh yeah, well,
and even to this day, it's still Praetorian this, Praetorian that.
Oh yeah. Even though I showed the screenshots that prove otherwise. It when presented with facts, they just shrink back and fall back on the default. Well, he's the one who masterminded it all. Then,
right?
Really?
And when I was talking to him on a stream, it was like, oh, this is somebody that lied to me every day. And as soon as I heard that, I kind of, I tuned out. It's like, well, if you're not going to accept responsibility, I'm not going to be able to force you to accept it. Very uncompelled by that,
Yeah, and number one, I didn't lie to him, and number two, he knew exactly what was going on with everything, and it's whatever.
Yeah.
Roe's not a leader. He's just not.
No, not at all.
No.
He's only a leader by being a character. And again, a real leader is somebody who accepts failure that doesn't belong to him and owns it.
Oh yeah, well, like I was telling you earlier, I remember getting a call at 2:45 in the morning. Hey, right. Sergeant Davidson. Oh, hey, First Sergeant, what's up? It's 2:45. Do you know where your soldier is? No, but I have a feeling you're going to tell me. Soldier got drunk, went for a drive, and now I got to go pick him up from the D cell and take him to the battalion commander's office in the morning. Oh shit.
And though you had nothing to do with his behavior that day, it's not like you can re-raise that soldier. You still got the call in the morning, and you had to do something to start the corrective process on the dude.
Oh, exactly. And I took responsibility for his actions too, because once again, that soldier, when you have a soldier, that person is your responsibility.
Yeah.
For better or for worse, whatever they do, good and bad, that is your responsibility.
Right. Now I think the reason we're comparing this to War Campaign, the reason we're giving EVS and Rose such a hard time on this leadership thing is they have this organization called War Campaign. They have a uniform that they wear, being the WC tag, and they call themselves War Campaign, which is what? It's obviously some kind of martial behavior set that they want to talk about and LARP and pretend to be at. So if you're going to call yourselves that, if you're going to say Hail War Campaign, if you got that built-in salute in your organization, you're effectively a politically minded, united in a common cause. So if you want to pretend to be this military group that you are, let's hold you to military standards and explain why it went wrong and why your leadership is fracturing as we speak.
Well, not only that, they stress loyalty above all, right?
Right. That's all military value.
Yeah. Well, where was your loyalty to me when I exposed what was going on and I took responsibility for it? But they couldn't take their responsibility for their part. They showed no loyalty to not only me, but to themselves.
You won't see it. You mentioned to me before we talked to Doug yesterday that you went and personally apologized to people for how you were acting. Is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Have you ever seen anyone else in war campaign do that?
As far as I'm aware, no.
No. I'm seeing a lot of passing the buck. I'm not seeing any ownership. If it was my boys on the internet, they all wore the WC. If they all said "Hail, Hail Stankus," and they messed up, the bare minimum I would do is say, "Yes, this guy is a fan of mine. He did this. I talked to him since he was such a fan, and I expressed to him how I felt that he shouldn't act like that. If he wants to, hail me, if he wants to salute me and pledge loyalty to me for whatever reason." And again, this guy is somebody who drew comic books for a living. Why you're pledging your loyalty to a man like that, I don't know. I'll never understand why that was so admirable. But
Well,
that being said, if they were
well,
my guys, hell yeah, I'd have something to say about their behavior, good or bad.
oh yeah. Well, for the sake of turning this into a another AAR,
Yeah.
I know for me in that organization, I'd just been fresh out of the military. I was looking for some brotherhood. I was looking for some
Is that what drove you to
for
war
some.
campaign?
What's that?
Is that what drove you to war campaign?
Oh yeah, I was looking for some, for some camaraderie, something that was like the military, and that was the closest thing without going over. So I'm like, let's do it.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone actually address that before.
Oh yeah,
That's interesting.
it had all the trappings of military like connotations, but you know, it was cool. It was fun at first, and then all of a sudden it wasn't cool or fun anymore.
So these guys get to talk about loyalty. They get to talk about, the fun of the camaraderie. But really, there's no asking price to get in there. There's nothing you have to pay forward.
Oh yeah, no.
Like, what is there a basic training for war campaign?
No.
I believe there's something of an initiation.
Not that I'm aware of. There wasn't, at least for the inner circle guys. They're just all kind of showed up one day.
Victor, thanks for being here. Dave, thanks for being here. Should have listened to Man of War. Yeah, maybe lose. I don't know. Maybe they do ask for something like that. Let's see here. Hello, guys. Yeah, and the whole reason I'm holding these guys to the standard, and they'll say, "Oh, well, they're not in the military. Not everyone joined the military." Well, stop pretending to be a military unit.
Yeah.
Call yourself,
Quit.
Comic campaign at that point. Yeah.
Right. No, they use imagery and pageantry and other such things to entice people in, and then they start pulling their stupid gay ops, and it's fun because it's like you're doing black ops stuff for the military, but it's just not that.
Dave, if you want to come on, send me a DM. I'll bring you on if you're a vet. We only ask that you, if you're not a vet, don't come on. If you are, and if you do sneak on, and we could tell you're lying, we're going to call you out for it. That's the only vetting process we have for that. But yeah, and all the let's see, Asuka. I think the problem is you guys are applying military leadership qualities to a cult. So I would argue with you if you had said civilian people, but since you said cult, I think that's a good point to make, Asuka. Yeah, but again, the reason we're applying these standards that we held as military, professional soldiers is that they're pretending to be some kind of military unit. That's why we're so hard on them. Wayne campaign.
Exactly correct.
Yeah. Zombie brings up an interesting point. A few people point out WC attracted a lot of fatherless boys too. I think that's part of it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, well, Roe talks about being a man and what that means and stuff. Well, you don't want to be the kind of man that Roe wants you to be, trust me.
Right.
Because it's going to involve all sorts of stupid extras. Nah, you just be a man. Be honest. Stand up for what's right. It's not hard to do. And that goes for females too. You just stand up for what's right.
Yeah, and what is right is it might bother you a lot that you're taking time out of your day to go stand with that soldier, but it's part of the necessary process. I had a soldier this dude's name was, well, I can't say his name. I'll just tell you his nickname. His name was Smell, right? Smelly. And
Oh no.
he did not pass height and weight. So we had a big meeting with all the fat boys in the battalion, and we went to Sergeant Major's office right before PT. He sat us all down, which I don't know why he was doing that. You know, we should be at parade rest for the man. And he's everyone he talks to stands up at parade rest, part of military customs and cultures. He gets to my soldier, and I stand up, and Smell, looking like 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag, stays sitting down. I could not tell you how angry I was. And I was briefly aware he had this condition and a doctor's note, but he looks at me when the soldier stayed sitting down, and he goes, Stankus, why is your soldier sitting down? I look over at him. Smell is almost out of his mind on drugs. And he goes, Sergeant Major, I have a doctor's note saying I'm not supposed to stand for very long. And I go, why don't you stand up long enough to explain that? And he starts arguing with us. And let me tell you, that was the worst browbeating of my life. And I deserved it every second of it because I wasn't tracking the soldier well enough to understand that he had the issue. And he had a bad attitude in the first place. And thankfully, we got him out of the military soon after that. But I'll tell you what, my relationship with that Sergeant Major never really recovered after that. So,
Yeah. Well, he's going to look at you. Oh, you don't know your soldiers well enough to know what's going on with them. What the fuck's wrong with you, Sergeant?
Doug to Naples says, Rogat and Soychild are liberal SJWs who just love the performance of fake manliness. Real men don't ever act that way. It's like the guy with the 70s muscle car thinking he's macho. It's peacocking. Yeah, I think there's a lot of peacocking in war campaign. And as we said earlier, you don't have to earn anything in war campaign. Or if you do, it's not anything physically demanding. It's not years away from your family overseas. It's, I don't know, it's buying enough copies of Cyberfrog maybe. But that's not leadership. Trap 28, too many cults. OG CG Phantom Menace war campaign. What is the root cause of this? Disenfranchised bored individuals who want to be part of something bigger. I think you could speak to that pretty well, Sergeant Davidson. And I can understand, where you're coming from with that angle.
Well, yeah, I got out of the Army in a fashion that I wasn't. Dude, I was going to make it a career, bro. I was in 11 years. I was looking at picking up my 6, and then shortly after that, it was going to be my 7, and then hopefully my 8. But I got hurt in Afghanistan.
Keep going.
And yeah, I got hurt in Afghanistan, and freaking, I got med boarded. I didn't have a choice. They said, thanks for your service. Thanks for coming out. You can't do anything for us anymore. So bye.
Yeah.
So one day I was in, and the next day I wasn't, and I was lost, dude. I was so fucking lost. I didn't know who the fuck I was. I knew who Sergeant Davidson is. I know who that guy is. I don't know who Richard is. So, and then I find Ethan Van Sciver through the Star Wars thing, because, I'm a nerd. I love Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I start watching him, and then I notice Ro in the chat. And the next thing I know, I'm in the War Campaign Discord, and next thing I know, I'm fucking hanging out with Ro and all of them, and they're making me, I feel like I have that camaraderie, that brotherhood again. And then it just kind of went on from there. So that's why, there are people out there who are looking for that kind of camaraderie, especially veterans.
Yeah. Let's see. Asuka says it's part of the overall problem what we're talking about here is internet tough guy culture. Yeah, there's I don't know why you would feel tough making memes of people and putting them online. You could sit there like the South Park computer guy, and who's to stop you from doing that and getting your little cackles off at somebody. Dave asks if they suggested you becoming a recruiter in light of your.
Oh no! There's no way I couldn't do the PT test anymore. My knee is like bone on bone. There's no cartilage in there anymore. In fact, I got to get it replaced here in the next few months.
Junkyard Dunn says military leadership isn't too different from civilian leadership. You're responsible for those you lead. Their actions reflect on you and the organization. Junkyard Dunn, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're a Marine, I think. If you'd like to come onto this show, we want to make it a community thing and hopefully hold each other up as established leaders for our community. Just for process, yeah. They're not even memes. The memes are clever. Yeah, a meme does not a soldier make.
No.
And they also call each other like what centurions and all this stuff. And I remember the Fall of Rome stream. They had a reaction calling themselves the Loyal Angels and all this, hive mind collective think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's just you guys fail to measure up in that regard. And I would never talk this much trash about other civilians, but again, I feel like it's not stolen valor necessarily. It's the appropriation of bravery, like my criticism towards Ethan Van Sciver for his dog tag tattoos. This is not for ink on your skin. This is something you go to basic training for, you go overseas for, you suffer for.
Exactly correct. To use language that I am remiss to use, but I'm going to
do it.
It's cultural appropriation. It's the warrior culture that we belong to, that we come from. They're appropriating it to form a cult like a following.
Yeah, like no one's impressed by you. The fight me in real life stuff that doesn't get you very far in the internet.
Yeah, no. And everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Right. It's just funny comparing our experiences to something this silly, honestly.
Well, it is, like I've gone one-on-one with terrorists before. I've gone one-on-one with inmates. I used to go to work with murderers, rapists, child molesters, the worst of the worst that the military has to offer. That was my everyday reality.
But you were a Gitmo, right?
Oh, yeah.
If you guys don't know that word, you haven't been paying attention to the news for the last 20 years.
Yeah. Well, to talk about leadership a little bit more and Guantanamo Bay, I have an interesting anecdote. We had a soldier whose name will go unmentioned here.
Yeah, private stuff.
Yeah. Well, female soldier, and she decides to get blackout drunk one night, run into a male TK. Now the TKs are called we call them TKs or TRKs or townhomes, right? We live about 6 to a townhome. She comes running into a male TK, runs upstairs, kicks in the door, and says, "I'm here to fuck." Right? So what does the male private do? He kicks her out.
Good.
Right? He shoves her out the door, shuts the door, and calls my TK. And soldier Snuffy's like, "Hey, Sergeant, I got this female here. She kicked in my door. She's totally naked. She's downstairs right now." And I said, "Bullshit." So I had been also drinking with my friend, so I grab another male NCO, and we go, and no shit, there she is, DJing herself on the couch, just naked as a jaybird.
Oof.
Like, okay, well, I look at my friend looks at me, and we get all the male privates out of the house. She's just ignoring us, and I go grab a female NCO because there's no way I'm touching this with a 10-foot fucking pole, right? This sharp complaints would be out the freaking window. So I go get my friend, and she comes in there, grabs this soldier by her hair because she got up, stopped what she was doing to herself, got up and poked my friend in the chest. She grabbed her by the hair and dragged her out of the house. And it turned into this whole huge thing. And we all were standing on the carpet in front of the Sergeant Major's desk. And the Sergeant Major's like, "What the Oh, go ahead.
Oh, Junkyard Dunn says appreciates the offer. He's at work right now. Yeah, anytime you can make it. We haven't had a set date and time for this, but if you want to come and talk about our experiences in the military, we'd love to have you, Junkyard Dunn. And then I'll let you finish your story. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, the long and short of it is Sergeant Major didn't care that she kicked in the door, did all that stuff, attempted to rape a male soldier. He cared why the female NCO grabbed the soldier by her hair and dragged her out of the house. He cared about he called it assault, and I don't know, but regardless, she had to answer for that, and then we all had to answer for it too. Like, why did you let her do that? Well, Sergeant Major, what am I to do when I have a naked female private in front of me and I have a female NCO, and that private assaults the female NCO. I'm going to let that female NCO handle her business. Because if I put my hands on that private, then I'm in the wrong because she's nude. What am I supposed to do, Sergeant Major? And Sergeant Major stops and thinks about it for a minute. He's like, all right, that's all I need to know. Have a great day. Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
but it's accountability. I had to be accountable for my actions or lack thereof, or my inaction in that situation. There are consequences to every decision you make. There can be good consequences or there can be bad consequences, and you are accountable for those.
Well, that's the other part of failing while you're a leader is you're not going to stop being a leader for it. You're still expected to show up to work the next day and do the same job you were doing. It's just you're going to have to find out what went wrong and fix it. And then if you get that messed up, you're going to get moved. Let's see. I had some questions come in here. Victor is okay with the tattoos because he's EVS is a hero of his. Well, that's how you view it. I suggested he get it altered or removed, and we disagree on that. But we talked about that on the previous episode. Everett Todd said they goofed about the Roman thing, but they didn't really understand how it worked. Yeah, I think they just like the helmet logo. And then Anand Corona says, do you think military experience should be a prerequisite to be president, prime minister? That's how it is in my country. That's an interesting question. It does help with leadership, but I think I'll save that for another episode when we could talk about if we should how much we should consider military leadership for positions in the civilian world, stuff like that. So I think that'd be fun. Let's see. 6 Scale, I'd like an entire episode on the fun of truth extraction techniques. I think Sergeant Davison, who just dropped out, can probably speak to that a little better than me. I think he'll come back in a second. So, yeah, I'll just gather my thoughts on this. So I think what we're seeing today with EVS and the war campaign, I think I saw a GAT walk away, and I think I saw, okay, Sergeant Davison's back.
I got dropped.
Hey, you drop out? No worries. So I was just talking about a little bit more about Pan and GAT leaving, and I think Rose turning on EVS. It looks like I never thought I'd see the day, but you call yourself Caesar. Well, it's like I said the other day. You call yourselves War Campaign. Since you guys have been around, you've done nothing but fight. You call yourself Caesar. Are you being surprised that people are turning on you right now? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it, right?
Those who pretend to be some guy who got stabbed in the back, end up stabbed in the back, I guess. Oof. Let's see, Victor did 2 years in the pen, fighting every day for soups. Nothing fun about it. I hope you got your soup now, buddy. 60 Impaler. Leavenworth can be rough. I've missed a bit. Master Wallstein, we're talking about leadership, accountability, even when we're not immediately responsible for failures, and ownership. Stuff like that. Yeah, Sergeant Davison. So thanks for coming back. Yeah, so that's kind of what I think it all comes down to that the leader of this gaggle of fools didn't own anything. When faced with failures of people who followed him to such an extent that they said Hail Caesar all the time, and they've declared loyalty for a comic book artist. And then when somebody messes up, they look for an excuse or a scapegoat. That's exactly why we're seeing the implosion today.
Oh yeah, it's because they don't have anybody to blame anymore. So now the whole thing's gonna eat itself.
Yeah.
So leadership is a lot of things to a lot of people, but for us, for the military, leadership can be boiled down in its very essence to accountability.
Mm-hmm. Rowe turning on EVS. Well, we're just seeing it come out now. I'm blocked by EVS, so I only saw screenshots, but it does look like there's some friction in the group right now. And this isn't a stream to dance on their grave. This is accountability. This is some of the things that lead to failing organization like that failing. Loyalty to an ideal is greater than loyalty to a person. Yeah, I guess so. I agree with that. Let's see. I guess it was a long time angle. They're playing feign loyalty, so the backstab is justified. Well, I hope he survives. Lame as war campaign hailing on Ricada chat. Pathetic, sad. They don't got nothing. Yep, agreed. I got some quotes here. Just a brief Google search for quotes on military leadership and stuff. I'll share a few here. General Colin Powell. The most important thing I learned is that soldiers watch what their leaders do. You can give them classes and lecture them forever, but as your personal example, they will follow. Yeah. There's no one quicker to point out hypocrisy than somebody who's required by the military to follow you.
Yeah, that's so true.
I phrase it that way because leadership is much more than I have a rank that the Army gave me, and you have to say what I do or there's consequences. That's not a leader.
Oh, totally, dude. I've had leaders like that do as I say, not as I do type. And, I learned from them. I learned not to do the things that they did. So my soldiers wouldn't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I was 100% great leader all the time, because I wasn't. There's no way anybody can be. We all make mistakes. We all fall short. Nobody's perfect. And, it's okay. You just own your mistakes and you do your damnedest never to repeat them.
Right. And if you're a leader and one of your buddies goes down, there's not a leader in the military that goes and does a live stream about how embarrassing that is.
Oh, God, fuck, no. No,
I said this earlier, but I want to reinforce the point. Somebody in your unit goes down, 3 or 4 NCOs come up and start figuring out how to fix it. Hey, I didn't know you needed this part for your Humvee over here. I got extra over here. Let me go get them. I'll be right back.
Oh, exactly right, dude. I mean, and even if you get, God forbid, I've known a couple NCO buddies of mine that got demoted because of dumb shit that they did. Yeah, behind closed doors, to their face, you make fun of each other for it. Oh, you did this, you got demoted. Oh, you're a retard. Well, yeah, but you don't talk shit about them in public. And number one, and number two, you help them get back to where they were. You don't keep shitting on them.
Right.
Especially if it was an honest mistake. Like I said, shit happens. Nobody's perfect. Let's uplift each other and make each other greater than what we were when we got in trouble.
Asuka has a really good question. The other thing I always hear from people in CG and war campaign is principles. Principles this, principles that, this person lacks principles, etc. What does it mean to be principled?
Well, to war campaign, what it means to be principled is you never rat, right? You never narc. No matter what happens, no matter how bad of the thing you did, you never accept responsibility, and you never, ever tell on the Corps if they're involved. That's their principles.
Yeah. Principles to me, that's such a broad question, Asuka. I don't know if I could say anything in a couple seconds to really do it, but to me, principles is having a clear standard that's visible to others that question you.
If you say you're going to do something, you do it. Say what you mean what you say. I think for me, that's what it boils down to.
Yeah. Say what you do. Yeah. You just said it perfectly. And maybe I've been out long enough, I forget all these motivational sayings the Sergeant Major would bark out at us on a Friday right before end of day formation. Junkyard Done. They always say you can't control the internet. True, but you can control your own actions and your sphere of influence. You can call it the actions of bad actors and not just it's the internet. That's something that EVS told me the first time I went on a show. It's just the internet. What are you going to do? Well, if it was me, I would say you guys have to stop this meme nonsense. You got to stop pretending to be military forces. You want to be super fans? That's fine. Don't pretend to be some kind of sword in the desert ready to strike down all evildoers or those critical of you.
Well, not only that, quit doing shit in my name.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I would have made it abundantly clear. War campaign does not speak for me. I do not speak for them. They do not sanction anything that they do, and they need to immediately cease and desist. They don't like it. They can go fucking kick rocks.
yeah, yeah. Mike Miller was right. I agree with a lot of stuff Mike Miller says. CG 2.0 should have a constitution written on stream. Well, going back to what I said on principle. It's having a clear standard somebody can hold you to, and maybe that's why there was such a rejection of that idea, and they made fun of Mike for even suggesting it. But Mike was right on the money with that. How else are we supposed to know what your aims and goals are if you don't tell us?
Oh, they didn't like. I remember that they didn't like that shit at all because then there would be a set standard, and they don't like being quote unquote controlled. So they would prefer anarchy to and being able to do what they do than to having a set standard and be held accountable for their actions.
Yeah, and accountability. Like we've been talking this whole time, we've had soldiers who mess up. And it's still on us to be part of the process. The pain that they get, and when a soldier goes on extra duty, they're working. They're pretty much working to the point where they only get 4 hours of sleep at night every day for 45 days. I never got one of these things because I was smart enough to listen and do what I needed to do. It's not hard to it's not hard to be successful in the military. Yeah.
No, I got a mouth on me, so my success took a few brow beatings. But
yeah, all good leaders do. For every success I've had in the military, it was built on twice as many failures. Especially as a private, man, I was one of the dumber ones, honestly.
well, shit, everybody's success is built on the failures of the people who came before you.
Yeah, and you got to learn from that. Watchman for you, War Campaign has run off many customers that have no idea what War Campaign is about, and when they get a hint, they tap out. Yeah, most people, when they buy a comic book, they don't need a Pledge of Allegiance to do that. They don't need other people buying a comic book to do that. They just need good art. It's not a military issue in any way that concerns a comic book. There's nothing in your life as a civilian that ever comes close to needing a band of brothers to celebrate your purchase of a book.
Exactly right. I mean, it's silly. At the end of the day, it's just silly. It's stupid.
It's silly. Like, let's if you guys are truly a military organization, let's put you in formation. Let's give you a couple of commands and see how well you can execute movements together. But you can't do that because you're sitting around antagonizing people in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pajamas. You're buying wigs. You're on eBay searching for gay costumes with fishnets and stuff and G-strings as a 300-pound man. You're not Caesar. You're Little Caesars at best.
I don't know, man. Little Caesar's got good pizza. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I was almost going to go get one today.
I'm not going to lie. $5 pizza.
You can't mess with it, man.
It's just so silly. The lack of leadership that has been shown on all sides. It's just it makes me put my head in my hands. I'm like, what are you people doing?
There's nothing war about you.
No, there sure as shit isn't.
There's no campaign. What's the common goal?
Do I get a campaign ribbon? Do I get my NATO medal for being in the war campaign? I mean, I just don't.
You don't. You get laughed at by the rest of the internet, hopefully. If you've been in war campaign, and I don't mean this in any slight towards you, Sergeant Davidson, and I'm sure you feel the same way. It's embarrassing that you guys are doing this. It's embarrassing behavior to anyone outside of your bubble. But the problem is you surrounded yourselves with sycophants and people who are okay with you picking and choosing where your accountability is. If I had a war campaign, if we had choo-choo campaign with the train thing going on, and one of my fans here went and did something dastardly, like put somebody's face on the dildo meme. If they claim some kind of loyalty association with me, I'm going to go find out what they did and why they did it, and ask them not to do that. And they're free to associate or disassociate from me at that point. But I'm still going to say something about it because I'm a man, I'm a leader, and I'm going to own stuff, even when I have nothing to do with it. That's character.
100%.
Get frustrated just even thinking about this stuff.
Well, like I was saying. I'm sorry.
I've been on my soapbox right now. What wars are in comics? They've been calling it the culture war. When you start calling stuff war, the war on drugs, guess what? You end up in a big fight. You don't start using that kind of language and get peace out of it whatsoever. But I'm sorry for interrupting you, Sergeant Davis. Eddie.
Oh, Eddie's that shit. But it's just like you said, dude. It's fucking just so stupid. It is infuriating to see, warrior culture appropriated for comic books and harassment campaigns and gay ops and all this stupid shit. And you're right, it's embarrassing as fuck. Looking back on it, it's embarrassing as shit. But I'll own that embarrassment, no problem. Yep, I'm embarrassed, but I did all that shit. But I wanted to say, when you're in it and when you're doing it, when you're really in it, you can't see the forest for the trees.
No.
And that really speaks to what's going on over there. If you were to take
it from you, man. You've got the inside look and you're on the outside now. You got that clarity to really consider what happened.
Oh yeah. It's embarrassing as shit. You guys are embarrassing yourselves. You're grown men and women doing all sorts of stupid shit on the internet. You're an embarrassment to yourselves and to your families. You should probably really take a step back and take an honest look at what you're doing.
There are dudes out there who put on stormtrooper costumes. They set up these companies where they cosplay together, wear the costumes, they carry around the blasters, the Star Wars stuff. Those people are less embarrassing than the war campaign. They don't go out and do stupid shit like that. They go out and donate to charity. Has War Campaign donated to a charity?
No, the only charity War Campaign donates to is Rose fucking bank account.
That's right.
They're a fucking embarrassment.
You
they
got
should be ashamed of
fucking
themselves.
Stormtrooper costumes that are less embarrassing than you. And it all comes because you decided to follow somebody who doesn't have an ounce of leadership in his skin, who has shown zero accountability and even less ownership. And you guys are splintering today. You're imploding. And I'm giving, my NCO is coming out right now. It's embarrassing. I'm glad we're here today. I never thought this day would come because it takes a lot to wake up people from stupid shit. I need you guys to get in the front leaning rest position and beat your face. Take your lumps and grow the hell up a little bit. The rest of us are embarrassed for you. Sergeant Davison, I'll take it.
Yeah, I was doing the same fucking thing, hyping myself up too. The 501st. God bless the 501st. I just want to say shout out to those guys.
I don't mind these guys having a fucking battalion or whatever. They ain't out there hurting people.
No, they're out there giving to the children's cancer charities and hospitals. They're going out there spreading joy and happiness. The only thing that War Campaign spreads is bullshit. That's what they spread.
They spread memes,
bullshit.
Agony. They send people to bed wondering what their face is going to end up on next. Little thieves in the fucking night.
Fucking shitbag ass motherfuckers.
Fulvic Zeno, I apologize. This is a Sergeant's time treatment. It was originally meant to be this positive thing, but you get a couple NCOs fired up about something. This is what you get. And I apologize to the audience. We're going to come back and have fun. Whew.
Yeah.
You know what?
Come back to the comic stream. Come back to the comic stream. I swear to God, it'll be nice.
Yeah, tomorrow we're doing a extremely comic-focused kind of show and tell kind of thing. Everyone that comes on the stream is going to bring a page or a cover or even a couple, and we're just going to talk about why we get so excited about the shit in the first place. Anyone can join. We'll even take suggestions from the chat if you don't want to join us. Let's see here. 501st, they actually have a height and weight requirement, and they drill together to do unified marching. That's discipline. Already, you got the Star Wars nerds that are less embarrassing than you. They've got actual discipline, the ability to move together. That's amazing. Outstanding.
That is good shit. Shoot, move, and communicate together. That's good stuff.
Yeah. You want to play warrior games? You want to pretend to be soldiers? Start measuring up. There you go.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, there probably are a lot of vets in the 501st. Hell, I'd want to do it. Horatius Kokels, thanks for being here. Coming from DA Tux. They had SJW Captain America over there talking about this shit. Oh, man. So what's the most positive experience you had with a soldier that you knew benefited from your leadership in some way and they expressed it to you, Sergeant Davidson?
I had a gay soldier, right? And I joined in 2003. I was in the era of the don't ask, don't tell.
Yep.
And it was just as President Obama had repealed that, and you're allowed to be gay in the military, which is outstanding. I think you should be yourself as long as it doesn't affect mission. I don't care what you are or who you do or what you do in the bedroom. Shit don't bother me. Unfortunately, I had some leadership that didn't believe in that. So she wanted to get married to her partner. So I went out there, did the marriage counseling and all this stuff and really went to bat for her. And she is now a platoon sergeant, and she still to this day, gets a hold of me and asks me about, leadership questions and stuff like that. That's probably my single most positive thing, just really being able to go out of my way to help my soldier when she needed it most, and she really has paid that forward tenfold with her outreach and the stuff that she does in the military.
Yeah. Do you remember a moment where you had to own up for one of her fuck ups?
Yes. So she, much like myself, she's got a mouth on her. And
real quick, Watchman. Yeah, I did see the police take down the stormtrooper. That was a pretty sad video.
Yeah, that's fucking bullshit. But she decided to smart off at the squad leader, and my squad leader doesn't suffer that kind of bullshit.
Mm-mm.
So next thing I know, she's like, "Get the fuck out of here." She leaves, and I get torn into, up one wall and down the other. How can you let that soldier do this? How can you
And none of the
Sergeant.
disrespect that sergeant received came out of your mouth, but you're there answering for it.
Fuck yeah, dude! All day, I was in the front leaning rest answering for this shit.
Yep.
Like I'm like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? So I go out there and I chew her ass up one wall and down the other, and I front back go and stuff. She starts puking. Okay, we're done. And then the next day, you come into work. Hey, Sergeant, I really want to apologize. Like, don't even talk about it. It happened yesterday. Today's a new day. Let's fucking move forward.
Right. And that's part of the ownership thing. You owned up to your mistake. You corrected it. It'll never get held against you again.
Yep. Nope.
That's what normal people do to people who've made mistakes in their past. They don't spend a week humiliating them using sensitive materials because they don't like them, because they were slighted against before.
Yeah, no. If it happened in your past and you move forward and proven yourself to be an honorable person, well, let's fucking move forward then. If you're going to keep fucking up though, your past will come back to bite you in the ass.
Yeah, you just got to own it and move on. It goes two ways in that respect. To tie it around to Preston Poulter and his amateur pornography career.
I would not have used that in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I would have probably reported the person who threw it into my lap. I'm just saying. Yeah. That shit is it's irrelevant to comics. It's irrelevant to anything that's going on in that movement at all.
You're not selling anything with that attitude.
Fuck no.
Six
Selling
Gal has a
bullshit.
question for you, Sergeant Davidson. He says, "My question is this: didn't the early veterans who joined the war campaign take objection to the war phrase? Trolling in fandom is not a war."
I can't speak to it. The only two veterans that I know early on were myself and Sketch, and
Well, we all know
I did.
Sketch's story.
Yeah. So I didn't take exception to it. It was good imagery as far as I was concerned. I mean,
Yeah.
it was something to rally people behind. So
Yeah. Phobic Zeno, we're talking about leadership coming from, we were both sergeants in the military and how we approach accountability and the people that work under and for us and just people we interact with in general. Yeah, Watchmen has a video of somebody getting murdered. Don't think my channel will last much longer if I play that, but if you're interested in that, go check it out. But thanks for being here, Watchmen. Yeah, so I mean, us as leaders, I think the reason that we're seeing the conflict today with EVS and the war campaign, whatever's going on with them, it's a direct result of a culture that doesn't have any leadership. You have somebody at the helm who doesn't want to be a leader, first of all, and second, refuses to be accountable for the people that hail him, for the people that follow him. There's never going to be a situation in my life where somebody follows me and I don't have some kind of input in how they behave.
exactly correct. If somebody's doing something in my name, I'm not going to ask them to stop. I'm going to tell them to stop.
Absolutely.
Because I number one, I don't put up with that bullshit. Number two, nobody needs it. It's not selling comics. It's not helping me color anything. It's not doing anything for us. What is that doing to uplift the community? Let's fucking uplift the community. Let's not berate each other. Let's uplift each other. Let's help each other out.
Yep. If you see somebody in pain, somebody taking a knee, your first instinct should be to go help them. When I saw Preston's videos, my first thought was that dude might need some help. And I spent the last week helping him. That's just my instinct. That's what anyone's instinct should be. If you want to be a leader, you accept people's faults for what they are and you don't hold it against them. You don't hold anything against them. Somebody that burns you, a soldier that gets you messed up, a soldier that got me in trouble. If I saw that they were worth rehabilitating and they were willing to put in the effort, those turned into the best soldiers. The people that fuck up bad and learn from it, those are the best guys you can have on your side.
Oh yeah, and
They usually don't do it
they
again.
will be loyal as shit too. If you invest your time and your effort into somebody, and they will the investment 9 times out of 10 will be returned tenfold.
Phobic Zeno says, first emotion I felt was empathy for Preston. I did too. Eric Hawkins has a good question for us. Would you two have advice on how to handle a soldier who thinks because he is a veteran that he doesn't have to pay bills? He's referring to his son-in-law, has had multiple cars repoed because of this. That's an interesting one, Eric. It's hard for me to even accept the thank you in public anymore. I'm the kind of guy that if somebody wants to buy me a beer at the bar and I've had enough, I'll exchange the beer for swapping a story or something like that. If somebody wants to do that. But for you, that sounds like there's a lot going on there. We're not exactly Dr. Laura here, but if he's getting cars repoed, being a veteran doesn't make you above the law, obviously. So he's facing the consequences of this. I don't know, man. I would say, I don't know.
I would direct him towards some veteran organizations, perhaps maybe the VA, get him some mental health help. I've seen that too, veteran entitlement.
Yeah.
I've seen that mainly from people who hadn't been in for very long. People who like, well, I did my 4 years and now the US owes me this, and this. Well, thank you for your service, but you're no more special than anybody else, bro. Let's sit down. Let's talk about it. What do you need help with? Like, just because you're a veteran doesn't make you fucking special.
Yeah, Eric.
Every
You know, some veterans do need to hear that. You know, I don't go to any bar and say I'm a veteran, give me a beer. You know, and
at all.
I think that might come from maybe your son-in-law didn't get the support he needed as far as the VA or other organizations, or even just having somebody to talk to. So if you can help your son-in-law out in any way, get him over to the VA. You know, they've got people who will give you counseling for free. I've had the last year. I've met with a counselor monthly to talk about my issues with PTSD and things like that nature. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
what
I
you
go
can
all the
do for
time.
him. Yeah, and I get free
And
medication, and I have a disability rating, and I still get that. So
yeah,
there's help out there if you go looking for it, Eric, and I hope you get some help like that. Let's see. He follows up with, "You don't know half of it, man. My grandpa came home from World War II. My dad in Korea, and they worked harder than anyone knew. I didn't expect anything owed to them." Yeah, it's an interesting time. You know, we've moved past battle fatigue, and that Cena Patton slapping the coward in the the medical brig, and we're having a lot of sympathy and empathy for veterans with PTSD and guys like Sketch who come back a little more damaged than others.
well, to speak to that a little bit, uh, it's a different world. It's a different army than the army that even fought fuck back in the Gulf War in the 90s. It's a completely different organization.
Hmm.
There's been so many scientific innovations that have happened in between World War II and now that we understand what TBIs are and what PTSD is and what these mental health issues are. And there's help out there for these people.
Yeah.
There's help out there for these veterans that are suffering. You don't have to suffer in silence.
No.
If you're a veteran and you're listening to this or you come across this, dude, you don't have to suffer in silence, man.
No.
Go
You
get that
don't.
help. Go get the VA resource. Go talk to the Wounded Warrior Project. I know they're kind of like douchey with the way that they spend their money, but they will fucking help you. There are organizations and things out there to help you to lift you out of that hole. Fuck. If you need somebody, come find me on Twitter, dude. I'll jump in that hole with you, and we'll get out of it together.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody suffering. If any veteran ever approached me and said, "I need help," my first thought is, "How? How can I help you?" If somebody, even you don't even have to be a veteran, you come to me and you ask me for help, that's my first instinct. And that's something that War Campaign has been completely absent of. Why can't I meme? You're telling the customers what to do. My question would be, why are you fucking with this dude? What are you getting out
Yeah,
of it?
yeah. Why just putting a dildo in somebody's face, memeing or photoshopping a dildo in somebody's face? What does that do for you? Does it give you that that hit, that chemical in your brain? What is it?
It's a,
Serotonin?
it's a cheap it's a cheap thing,
Yeah.
You're not inspiring anyone with that. It's frustrating. I think we got a couple questions here. Yeah, the poor bastards didn't get any help. That's part of the culture. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
no. Like
Sketch.
anytime oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Me and Sketch had a little thing on the Ethan stream, and as much as I have anger towards that dude, if he was willing to come at me like a man and discuss our differences, we trade our blows, and when we got done, I'd pick him up off the floor, dust him off, and get a beer with him. That's the
Oh,
manly thing
100%.
to do. I don't care if he wanted to kill me at one point. Probably a lot. He probably wasn't the only one. But I got mercy for everyone. Hopefully, Eric Hawkins, you could call him on his crap better than I can. Like how he's metaboarded after a couple of years in, and now says he was granted full retirement. Well, if he was granted full retirement, why is he late on his bills?
Yeah. No shit. Like I there for a long time when I got out, I didn't get I got 50%, and like I pay my bills with my money that I get from the VA, right? That's what I do. I pay my bills because it's the responsible thing to do. Now, if he's out there, if he does have full retirement at whatever pay grade, the next highest pay grade that he was at,
Yeah.
there's no reason he shouldn't be paying at very least his rent and car bills. I don't know the situation.
See,
You
and
know
the
what I'm
VA
saying?
would refer you to how to handle your money class. You know, the VA is not a perfect organization, but there's a lot of help there, Eric. Definitely refer him over there. You know, or have him send me a DM. I'll talk to him if he just needs to talk to another vet. A non-corona asks, is it possible to become a full-blown coward even after joining the military, going through the shit they do? Interesting question.
I
You got
would say
anything on that?
yes.
Yeah.
I would say yes 100% because you see it. It's usually admin clerks and the like.
Yeah.
Not to disparage their service, but
Sure.
you see a lot of not a lot. You see some anti Second Amendment guys coming out of the military saying, I held this weapon and it's a weapon of war, talking about, like the AR-15s and stuff. Well,
Yeah.
number one, it's not the same. It's
Right.
not. It may look the same, but it's not the same. It doesn't go safe, semi, and burst, or for the Rangers, safe, semi, and fucking full. Holy
Right.
shit. Uh, but it it is possible to be a douchey vet. It is possible to be a douchey soldier.
Yep.
We're all people. We're not anything special. Other than the only thing that makes us different is that we volunteered to serve our country in a time of war. At least for the OIF and OEF vets,
Yep.
we served our country in a time of war. We volunteered for that. We signed up for it, and we knew what could happen. That doesn't make me any less of a douche. I did douchey things. I did douchey things in war campaign. I was a douchey vet. It's just, it's
But even
possible.
today, months after you left, you're still owning up to it.
Oh yeah.
You're not passing the buck.
Well, no, I did those things. How can I blame somebody else when it was me who did that?
You mean Ethan wasn't lying to you? He wasn't gaslighting you?
Oh, well, of course, but it's my responsibility to say that I'm the one who allowed myself to be gaslighted. So that's my bad. I allowed myself to have
There you
that
go.
happen.
There you go. That's what our whole thing today was about. And you could judge a coward by how he behaves and stuff. And joining the military, the only thing that means is you signed on the line and you did your time. There's nothing special about you after you're done, other than what you were, how you behaved, and what you became. It's not like there's some kind of magic line where you're impervious to insult or criticism. Zombie says put sketch on. Anon says put sketch on. He's welcome to anytime he wants to come and reconcile our differences. He is welcome to come on my channel and talk about it. I'll broadcast it for everyone. We can do it in private. And all I want to, I primarily want Sketch to get help he needs. And
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's see. I know vets keep saying by reading and studying the Word of God. We'll probably do that for another episode of Sergeant's Time. We're going to try to get a lot of veterans in here. Today is mostly about leadership and ownership. And pray for Sketch. Pray for Sketch if you have a spiritual religiosity. And Phobic Xeno says, pray, apologize like a man, good enough for me. Yeah. So, today's episode, we want to make this a series. And if you're a veteran, we want you to join us. And we'll take questions all day. And thank you guys for being here. But to finish my monologue, it's soapboxing. The key to leadership is ownership. You got to own things that you might not necessarily be responsible for, even if you just influence them in some way, and do your best to mitigate failures in leadership and to learn from them. But Sergeant Davison, I'll let you have the last word.
I appreciate that, bro. I want to exit saying, if you're in a war campaign now, take a step back. It's okay to be embarrassed. Take a look at what you're doing and leave. If you're the smartest person in the room, it's time to chuck dues. And with that being said, tomorrow's a new day. So let's make it the best we possibly freaking can. Let's forget about what happened yesterday. Tomorrow's a new day. Let's move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And to play us out, do a little cadence here. You miss cadence, man?
Oh, man.
Was not over. So put your weapon next to mine.
Man, I get so happy hearing this kind of stuff, man. Again,
Oh, it
thanks
gives me
everyone.
goosebumps, bro.
Yeah. So again, thanks everyone for being here. Come check us out. We're gonna do a comic appreciation stream, and it's gonna be all positive. And just bring your favorite panel. Bring something we can look up and share, and just geek out about stuff we're excited about in comics. It's strictly comics tomorrow, and I have my morning show tomorrow. I got a special guest that's never heard of Comicsgate or War Campaign. I'm going to interview her and fill her in on what's been going on lately and get her take on it. So come check us out. And again, thanks everyone for being here. We'll catch you tomorrow. What is this? Right, left, right, left. See you guys later.